This is Lee with ATutsPlus.com, and this is the second half of our tutorial where we'll be adding some lights, light trail effects, compositing in additional smoke footage, and adding in a 360-degree background. Okay, now that we have our keyed footage with all of our effects applied, you can select all the layers, go to Layer, Pre-Compose. Go ahead and rename this. And hit OK. Okay, now we're ready to add in our light layers. So we'll go up to Layer, New, Light. And we'll keep this a point light. And click OK. Now it's telling us it does not affect 2D layers, so we simply go to the footage layer and click on the 3D switch. Okay, now let's make a basic animation of this flying across the footage. So let's set that over to the left. Go to the beginning of the comp. Bring up the light's position. Create a keyframe. Let's go to the end of the comp and just drag this over to the right. Now we don't want this flying across just in a straight line, so we'll go a few seconds in the timeline. Just adjust the Y position. Go a few more seconds down in the timeline and do the same. Now to save some time, I've basically just duplicated the layers and adjusted their positions just so they're different from one another. And I've also adjusted the keyframes just so they're different as they fly by in different times. Okay. Now, the more lights you add, the brighter it's going to be. So you want to lower the intensity. Let's shut off the Show Layer Controls. We're going to add a new solid. And we're going to add a new effect here. We'll just name this Lux. Hit OK. Go to Effects, Trap Code, and choose Lux. Now, if you don't have this plugin, you can always go to redgiantsoftware.com and download a free trial. And here I'm just adjusting the intensity. Okay. So let's take a look. Let's go to New, Solid, and this will be our light trails. This will be our particular layer. Just put that under the footage. Go to Effects, Trap Code, Particular, and we want the emitters. Okay, it's telling us that we have to rename the light's emitters. To save time, I'm just going to go into the options here and change this to light. And that'll change all the lights to emitters. We'll increase the particles per second, and we want to turn the velocity, emitter size all to 0. Now that we have that set up, let's change it to streaklet and increase the size. Now we're just going to adjust the size over life. Increase the life. This will give it a more organic feel to it. And let's change the color. You could do that by adjusting the shading here. And we want some color in there, so we'll also change the color of the particle. Now let's just lower the opacity here. Okay, looking good. Now I do want this to have more of a smoky feel to it, so we'll lower the gravity. And then we'll just select that light layer and duplicate it. Now on this layer, we'll adjust the gravity so it's doesn't have the same gravity as the previous light layer. We'll lower the size. We'll just set the transfer mode to add. Let's make the color a little brighter as well. Okay, so now that we have our lights and light trails set up, let's take a look at that. And also I've duplicated the footage layer just to give it a little more opacity. Okay. Now we're going to bring in our 360-degree background, and I got this at openfootage.net. A lot of great free downloads. We'll select all the layers here. We'll pre-compose that and drop in our background. Okay, to make our background a full 360-degree background, we're going to add in another one of Trapcode's plugins. So we'll go to Effect, Trapcode, choose Horizon. Go into the image map. Under Layer, we'll select our background layer. We'll just adjust the scale. We'll add a new camera, make that 35mm, hit OK. We'll make sure our scale is right. Let's make sure the 3D layer switch is on, and let's also make sure click the collapse transformation switch as well. Now we want to set a keyframe for all the parameters. Let's turn the footage layer off for a moment. To bring up the camera position, you can just hit C on the keyboard until the camera rotation tool comes up. And we're just panning over to the right. Set it to about there, looks good. And by doing so, it sets a position keyframe for us already. Just move that to the beginning of the comp. Okay, now we're ready to add in our front light. We'll go to Layer, New, Light. This will be a point light as well, just as before. We'll go up to New, Solid. Add our Lux layer. Go to Effect, Trap Code, Lux. We'll help see our light here. There it is. Let's go to 2 views so we can see the light in comparison to the camera. And we'll want to set up our light animation. We'll just drag that back to about there. I just kind of want to blend this into the light that's already in the trees here. Let's set a keyframe for the position. Go a few seconds ahead in the timeline. And just drag that towards the camera until we start seeing the light. We'll switch back to one view and just adjust this so it looks right. Show layer controls. And we can add our light movement. We'll go a few seconds in the timeline. And we're doing the same as we did before, setting up the lights. Turn off layer controls. And it looks good. Now here I just copy and paste the light trails that we already created in the previous comp and just pasted them into this comp. Should save us some time. And that's a little dark, so you just want to go into the shading settings and adjust that till it looks right. And once you have the light trails in your comp, you can see the path of the light a lot better. It's where you can adjust your position of the light as it flies by the camera. To save some time, I skipped ahead, and to complete the scene, I've added some pre-keyed high-definition smoke footage from Andrew Kramer's Action Essentials 2, which you can purchase at videocopilot.net at a very reasonable rate. The two examples I've used are named Atmosphere 3 and Atmosphere 7, which I've added to the comp in that order, right at the point of when the light trail comes closest to the camera. So right here. As you can see, it really brings all of our components together. It's pretty good. That completes our tutorial and hopefully gives you an idea on how to experiment and mix different effects together to create your own interesting scene. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay tuned to aetutsplus.com for more great tips and tutorials.